Hello, Alan.
Good morning, Miss Leslie. What a beautiful day. Is it 9th of April? And it's like in the middle of August here at the moment. Sunny and hot.
Yes, we're very lucky. This morning I went out for a walk at 8:30
Wow.
and I saw the sunset, so it was really nice.
Nice.
So we need to get on, Alan, because it's
Yes.
time to read our story, My
Yes.
Cousin Rachel. And I have something to tell you, Alan.
Oh,
It's the
yeah.
last chapters.
Is it really? Well, all will be revealed. I'm
Oh,
so
yes.
excited.
So I thought I would tell you. It's the last chapters. So are we ready to get going? And
Yes.
you can start. Off you go.
So this is chapter 13, Lewis and Laburnum trees. When I went down to breakfast in the morning, there was a note for me on the table. It was not from Rachel, but from Louis. Dear Philip, I was sorry for you last night. If you want a friend to talk to, please let me know. Louise. At first, I did not want to see Louise, but I had not slept all night and I was very unhappy. Louise knew me well. I sent her a note asking her to meet me in the church this morning. I have been worried about you for a long time, Louise, told me. She has deceived you from the beginning. I made a mistake, I said.
Now, can you help me? I don't know. What is a laburnum tree? Is it famous for something? Is it
They're
purple?
yellow. They're yellow, but it's almost like a mimosa tree, similar. The petals are actually poisonous, so you shouldn't even handle the petals from the laburnum trees. But they're a beautiful tree. We used to have one in my garden in the Midlands when I was in the UK.
That's why it's sounded familiar. It rang a bell for me because people have these in their gardens, but they can't have them if they have children because, as
Ah,
you said, they are poisonous.
yes,
So I think I remembered an aunt or someone having one, very beautiful, very bright yellow, but as you
yes,
said, very dangerous.
yes.
So maybe this has something to do with the story then.
Maybe.
Right, here we go. I've been worried about you for a long time, Louise told me. She has deceived you from the beginning. I made a mistake, I said. But Miss Ashley did not, Louise replied. She came here to get the money. She stayed until she got it. That is all. I don't believe you, I cried. She came on impulse and she stayed because she was happy here. So here we see the two people together in the church talking about Philip's mishap. So let's continue.
Can I just raise one thing? This word can be pronounced Louise, female, or Louis, male. Now, we're assuming we're talking about Louise. Is that right?
Yes, that is
That's right.
correct. So, for example, here, Louise is Luis, but the names have many ways of spelling them, even though
Absolutely.
they said the
Yes.
same. For
Yes.
example, my name can be spelled, I think, 3 or 4 different
Oh,
ways.
my goodness.
So it depends which country you come from, it's spelled
Yeah.
one way or the other.
It's Louise. Yeah. No, she had a plan, Louise replied. She has been sending money back to Italy all the winter. She waited until you were 25, but then you made her a present of everything. You made things easy for her. I know you don't like Rachel, I said. That is why you are saying these things. But I have asked her to marry me, and I shall go on asking her again. But she will never marry you, Louise said, with a sad smile. When you gave Mrs. Ashley the document, she went straight to my father. She asked him if everything now belonged to her. My father told her that that was true, but he warned her that if she married again, she would lose the money. She told him that she had no plans to marry again. But if she marries me, she will lose nothing, I said. She would not be able to go back to Italy or send money there, Louise said quietly. She looked at me and said, I will go now, Philip. I have upset you deeply. I am very sorry. As I rode home, the rain began to fall heavily. When I got back, I was cold and wet, and there was a note from Rachel in my room.
So is there a saying, something like he signed his own death sentence? Because as he's given her everything, part of the the reason she can have everything is that she can't get married to anyone. So giving her...
It's all legally binding. Whatever's written in that will and signed by the power of attorney, whoever, lawyer, then it is a legal document, and she will have claim to whatever is written in that will.
And in the will, it says she's not allowed to get married again. So this is why I've said it sounds like he signed his own death sentence.
Yes, death sentence,
in the sense that he wanted to marry her, but by giving her everything, she's not going to marry him. As I rode home, the rain began to fall heavily. When I got back, I was cold and wet. There was a note from Rachel in my room. I have asked Mary Pascoe to stay here with me. After last night, I cannot be alone with you again. Mary Pascoe, the vicar's daughter. Mary Pascoe was a large, plain girl. Rachel and I had often laughed about her. I could not believe it, but it was true. This was the punishment for my one moment of anger. Whenever I was with Rachel, Mary Pascoe was there too. Oh God, what had I done? By dinner time, I was feeling very ill. I went upstairs to my room and I got into bed, and the sheets felt very cold. I hoped that Rachel would come to me, but she did not. In the morning, I tried to dress, but I was too weak. My neck was stiff and there was a terrible pain in my head. When I called for Seacombe, he took one look at me and hurried out of the room. Then my cousin Rachel was there, her face very white. I will not hurt you, Rachel, I said. Please send Mary Pascoe home. Don't talk now. Lie still, Rachel answered. So I only think that the word I need to explain here is a stiff neck. A stiff neck is when you have no movement in your neck and it will not move. So that is a stiff neck. And lie still is don't move. Right? If I say lie still or keep still, I don't want you to move.
Then the room was dark. The doctor came. I was hot, then cold. I called for Rachel and she held my hand. I am with you, she said. I closed my eyes. When I awoke, the room was full of light and warmth. How long had I been asleep, Rachel? Rachel was sitting near my bed. I put my hand to my face. I have grown a beard, I said. I began to laugh. At once, Rachel was holding a glass to my lips. She made me drink the bitter liquid. And now you see a good picture of her holding his hand and attending to him.
Yes,
He's obviously been there a long time if he's grown a beard.
That's what I was going to say. So I have no idea how long it takes to grow a beard, but I'm sure it takes a few weeks to grow a beard. And also the liquid is bitter. So bitter is what a lemon is like, so that our viewers understand bitter.
Yeah.
So the liquid's bitter. So we're thinking maybe there's something in the liquid. Who knows? Have you sent Mary Pascal away? I asked. Rachel looked surprised. She went away 5 weeks ago, she answered. You have been so ill that you nearly died. The doctor could not help you. Your strength and my medicine saved you. I lay there with her hand in mine. I could not speak. 5 weeks had passed and I could remember nothing. Only that Rachel and I had been married on the day before my birthday. We had kept our marriage a secret, but in 2 months' time, Rachel would be out of mourning and we would be able to tell everyone. I was very weak for a long time, but the weather was good and I soon was able to go into the garden. The workmen had been busy for many months. They had dug out the ground to make the sunken water garden. It was very deep, but it was not yet finished. Yellow flowers hung on the laburnum tree that Rachel had planted. Now your turn, Alan.
I remembered the laburnum tree at Villa Sangaletti and the green poisonous seeds lying under it. That evening, as Rachel and I were drinking our tisana, I said, I heard something strange today. Seacombe told me you were going back to Florence. I thought you had sold the villa. No, I have enough money to keep it now. I shall probably stay there for the winter. Perhaps you could visit me in the spring. Visit you, I repeated. But a husband should be with his wife always. Rachel sat very still. Your wife? Oh God, Philip, she whispered. What do you mean? We are not married. But we are, I said. I remember clearly. But as I spoke, the pain returned to my head. I suddenly knew that our marriage was a dream. Why didn't you let me die? I cried. I cannot live here alone. I cannot look at her face. I cannot. I looked at her face. Give me a few weeks, only a week, I said. She did not reply.
Wow. So when he thought he was married to Rachel, it was a dream. It wasn't a reality.
Yes.
I was thinking, when did he get married?
I think he's feeling he's been hoodwinked.
Right, hoodwinked. So hoodwinked, how would you explain that? Like
deceived, I think is one word that would cover it all.
Deceived, you've been deceived. Well, he's been led up the path. He's been led up the path and he thought one thing and it's something completely different from reality.
Yes.
Chapter 14. What is the truth? The summer came, but Rachel did not speak of leaving. I became stronger, but sometimes the terrible pain in my head came back and I could not think clearly. But I told Rachel nothing about it. Then Rachel began to drive into the town 2 or 3 times a week. When I asked her about these visits, she told me that she had a lot of business to do. One day when Rachel was busy at home, I rode into the town alone. It was Saturday and the streets were full of people. As I walked slowly through the town, a man came out of an inn. He stood in the doorway for a moment, looking up and down the street. It was Grimaldi. Now, an inn is like what we would say now is a pub, a bar.
Pub or hostel, yes.
But somewhere where you can stay the night. So this
That's
was
right.
where it came before. So it was a mixture on the bottom floor, where somewhere you could have something to eat and drink, and then upstairs it was somewhere where you could stay the night. That is an inn. That evening, as Rachel was going up to her room after dinner, I stopped her. How long has Grimaldi been in the town? I asked. Why, is he here? Because he is my friend, Rachel answered. I know you hate him, and I do not want him here. Ambrose was jealous of him, and you too.
Yes, I said, I hate Rinaldi because he is in love with you. Send him away. Certainly not, she said. I need him. I will have him here if I wish. The house is mine. In my anger, I took a step toward her. Don't touch me, she cried. That is how Ambrose behaved. I can't suffer it again. I turned away. If you want to see Rinaldi, ask him here, I said. Don't go secretly into the town to meet him. And so Rinaldi came to stay in the house. He behaved politely, but I could not bear to see them together. They always spoke in Italian, and she looked at him all the time. Food seemed to have no taste now. The tisana I drank with them in the evening tasted bitter. Then the fever returned again. I was sick and too weak to stand. I had to stay in bed for a few days. When I was better again, Rachel told me that Rinaldi had gone back to Italy.
Right. So here, I don't know if we can explain it. I could not bear to see them. Now, this expression, if you can't bear something, it means you can't do it. It's unbearable.
That's right, yeah.
So I can't bear to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. It's too early, for example. It's an example. So bear means that you don't want to do something, and it's unpleasant, I think, as well, maybe. No? When are you going there? I asked. Rachel did not reply. A day or two later, a letter arrived for Rachel in Rinaldi's handwriting. As I drank tisana with Rachel that evening, I saw the letter on her desk. Was it a love letter? I had to know. That night when Rachel was in bed, I crept into her sitting room and searched the desk. The letter was not there, but in one small drawer, I found an envelope. Inside it were some small green seeds. They were Laburnum seeds, poisonous to animals and to men. How do you pronounce this word again, Alan? I think I pronounced it incorrectly.
What, Laburnum?
Laburnum, right? Sometimes I have difficulty with some words. Laburnum. So she has some of these seeds in an envelope.
Yeah, she'd been collecting the seed pods. Because when they die at the end of the year, they form a sort of a seed pod, just like a miniature pea or a bean pod. And in there, these tiny seeds, which, as I say, are highly poisonous.
Right. I put back the envelope and returned to my room. There were 2 bottles of medicine on the table. I poured the medicine out of the window. Then I went downstairs. The cups from which we had drunk our tisana had not been washed. Did the liquid in my cup have a bitter taste? I could not be sure. I went to bed and lay there thinking. I was not angry, but I was very unhappy. I remember Ambrose's words. Are you trying to poison me? Rachel has won. I am dying. Rachel has won. I am dying.
The following day was Sunday. Rachel and I went to church as usual. As she sat beside me, her face was calm and happy. I wished I could hate her, but I could not. After church, Rachel went to speak to Mary Pascoe. A workman came up to me and said, "Excuse me, Mr. Ashley, but I wanted to warn you. Don't walk on the new bridge over the sunken garden. It is not finished yet. Anyone walking on it would fall and break their neck." "Thank you," I said. "I will remember." At dinner, Rachel was kinder than she had been for a long time. She talked about Florence. She said she would look for a stone statue there to make a fountain for the sunken garden. She made a tisane as usual, but I refused to drink it. I would never again drink anything she gave me. "But it is good for you, Philip," she said. "No," I said, "you drink it." "I have drunk mine already," Rachel said. "I will pour this way. I will pour this away." That's right. Dispose of it, yes.
So she's very clever.
Yeah.
So as she's drunk her own, she's not going to have another cup. So she just threw that one away, no?
Yes, that's right. She knows that that's the poison chalice.
We talked together for half an hour or so, and then Rachel said, "I think I shall walk for a little. I want to look at the sunken garden. Will you come with me, Philip?" I shook my head. "Take care, Rachel," I said. "Of what?" she answered with a smile. "There is no danger here, Philip." I sat by the window until it was almost dark. Rachel had not returned. At last I ran out of the house and down to the sunken garden. The bridge was broken. My cousin Rachel lay on the ground below. I climbed down and held her hands in mine. They were cold.
Oh, not a good sign.
Yeah, but Philip didn't warn her about the broken bridge.
Well, I think he must have known in a way this was going to happen. In fact, he probably secretly wanted her to have that accident, if you like.
Right. So here we can see the broken bridge, and we can see Rachel in Philip's arms. Right, go Alan.
"Rachel," I said. She opened her eyes and thought she knew me, but she called me Ambrose. I held her hands until she died. "You know now who killed Rachel. But how did Ambrose die? Did Rachel kill him? I shall go on asking myself that question until the day I die. I live alone now. I'm a young man, but I think only of the past. The two people I loved are dead. I have an empty life in front of me. This is my punishment, and it is worse than death." Oh dear, how tragic.
The end.
Well, there we are.
So the writer leaves us thinking whatever we would like to think at the end of the book. So we are in doubt if Rachel killed Ambrose. We're in a little doubt if Philip forgot to tell Rachel about the bridge, or he just left to see what happened.
Yes. Also, what happens to the money that she was rightfully inherited?
It
What would
goes
happen
back to
that?
Philip.
Back to Philip.
Yeah.
Gone full circle.
Yes, it goes back to Philip. So he wanted to marry her for what because he said he was in love with her, and he thought that they could share the money together. And I think if we remember correctly, the godfather said if anything happened to her, it would go back to him again.
Yes, that's
So
right.
I hope you enjoyed the story. Stories are always a little long, Alan, but a little bit by little bit, I think it's good to read and think about things. But so, did you enjoy it at the end?
Yes, it was quite intriguing, really. We somehow had our suspicions, and of course, it all came to. It was true at the end. Yes, so justice was brought out.
Right. So, I think Rachel, her personality, she had a mental illness, and her moods would change from one way to the other. 1 minute she was kind, and 1 minute she was very dry. No. Well, so Philip now has to live by himself, by all alone, which he said is a worse fate than death. So we feel
Yes.
sorry for Philip at the end. So thank you, Alan, for
Okay,
helping
you're
me.
very welcome. You're
And
very
we'll
welcome.
see you for the next one. Who knows
Well, we'll
what it
see
will
what comes
be?
up. Find a nice, interesting story with lots of intrigue.